Today's video is about the one and only Cosmo, the genius of the Kenganverse, in the same format as my other detailed character videos to explain his power. Let me know down in the comments who you want me to cover next. Watch to the end or justice will strike you. Now, let's begin. He's also known as the King of Stranglers, with a height of 172 centimeters and weight of 68 kilograms, making him one of the smallest fighters in the Kenganverse. First, we have his Kengan 0 chapter, with him sparring against the renowned, undefeated public cage fighter while he was at the age of 17. Regardless, Cosmo clapped him with zero ease, only considering it a warm-up or sparring match, and that guy who he faced ended up retiring after getting clowned on that hard. And that's all that's really relevant in his Kengan 0 chapter. Take note that he entered the Kengan matches at the age of 14, stated to be the youngest in history according to his character profile. Now onto Kengan Ashura. Before round 1 of the Annihilation tournament, he was jumped by this man, where we first learn about how much of a prodigy Cosmo is, with Cosmo being able to get him into a python hold with the following stated about it. It causes loss of consciousness in 7 seconds. There are no living creatures that can endure it regardless of stature. You can take that explanation however you want, but this leads into a Q&A question from the author Sandovich. The question being, would Cosmo's grappling moves work on Julius and Haro, two of the biggest characters in the series? And his answer, yes, it would work. So does that mean Cosmo could potentially use the python hold to choke out any other fighter? Let me know your thoughts of that down in the comments, but based on that explanation and Sandovich's answer, it does seem that way. Now with his round 1 fight against Adam Dudley. Before I continue, make sure you're subscribed, and if you're an absolute mad lad, check out the other stuff in the description like the Discord and Patreon. Now back to the video. With his age being 19 in Ashura, size doesn't make a difference to the prodigy Cosmo, as said by Rin here, landing one kick making Adam respect his strength already regardless of his size. Cosmo was also able to survive a punch like this, showing his pretty decent durability regardless of his size. But in the end, he rolled Adam with a choke using the technique unique to Cosmo, the zone, which is explained by Waka. The zone is a technique that involves discerning the less than 0.1 second, less than, remember that for later, interval when the opponent's focus is exclusively on their attack and moving into the opponent's blind spot. As a result, Cosmo seems to disappear in the enemy's eyes. And again, this time Waka calls Cosmo a prodigy. Take note that during the Mutaba and Waka fight, we have Mutaba who notes that Cosmo is considered a top-class grappling specialist of the Kengan Association, which is very clear based on his fights, but I just wanted to let everyone know that this panel does exist. Now on to round 2 with his fight against Justice Boy. The beginning of the fight involved Cosmo facing him with striking alone and took a huge beating from the cheating version of Justice Boy and his girl. But as we know, Cosmo is a prodigy, with her saying this. This kid is incredible. His reaction time is improving little by little. He's astoundingly adaptable. So even when Cosmo is cornered, he can improve even more. And based on his various reaction feats during this fight, you could say Cosmo is kinda close to the likes of Justice Boy when it comes to raw reaction speed. The whole striking battle Cosmo was having was all set up for him to use the zone. However, due to Justice Boy's insane reaction speed, he prevented Cosmo from fully getting him into a hold. We also got his official top reaction speed recently in Kengan Omega, which is stated to be 0.074 seconds. As we know, Cosmo's zone is stated to be less than 0.1, but with that we can say it's not above or faster than 0.074. So yeah, that's just something good to note. Then we had crazy Justice Mode Akoya vs Cosmo. And due to his Ripper ability, he was able to get Cosmo off of him and prevent him, using his chokes. Then we had the legendary bite, which sends Cosmo into shock, then him getting tortured by crazy Justice Man. This ended up changing Cosmo, resulting in him to attempt to, break his arm without hesitation, and allowed him to find out why he enjoys fighting. The statement of, "I like winning," with this also improving his reaction time even more. Even after taking a massive beating, and even more once he got Justice Boy in another python hold, he still kept going, using his zone one last time and choking out Akoya. With the legendary line, "He's a genius." Now before the third round, Cosmo was in a wheelchair for some time and then had his Longmin fight. And when Longmin pulled out his advance with his weapon, Cosmo, while injured, was dodging, while the likes of Gao Lang was struggling prior. The reason for this is, as Canada states, and yes, that's how I say his name, Cosmo's mastering the same foresight that I use. The only way he could keep dodging all those attacks with his injuries if he's using foresight. Cosmo the Prodigy has now developed foresight, which is predicting moves ahead, with him actually using this long min fight to train his foresight or to pretty much get better at it, regardless of his, life-threatening injuries he gained last fight. And with that, Cosmo has gained the absolute Mad Lad title. Also prior to round 3, we had his fight with, Clown Boy Okubo to keep his fighting position, with the rules of the match being in favour of Okubo as stated. Also, this fight is on chapter 183 and 186 of Kengan Ashura if people don't know, with Cosmo using foresight to roll him, but we do learn that his foresight at this point cannot read several moves ahead like Canada's can. He can only read 1 or 2 moves ahead in Kengan Ashura. Now his Oma fight in round 3 of the Annihilation tournament, with him outplaying Oma with foresight at the start, while demonstrating his overwhelming advantage he has in ground grappling by preventing Oma from really doing anything. This is where his genius comes into play again. His reflexes aren't at the level of Justice Boy's, and his foresight doesn't allow him to read more than 2 moves ahead. So what does he do? He combines them. Cosmo is thinking of the following: I'll predict my opponent's immediate motions and move just before they do. That'll improve my basic position to its utmost limits, which is something all martial arts strive for. That way even my reflexes will be enough, meaning him alone is becoming like Justice Boy and his girl when they cheat or team up together, and that means his foresight is developing in a different way as stated by Canada. Even when Oma's Nika style magic allowed him to use more reserved energy and overall stamina, he tried landing Swimming Swallow on Cosmo. However, Cosmo's genius kicks in again. Because he's seen Oma use it in the prior rounds, he's able to completely counter it, and he does the same thing to various other Nico style techniques during their fight. Then for Cosmo to win, he used his foresight and zone together, which if you ask me is probably one of the deadliest combos in the series, with Oma actually using this against him and was waiting for him to try this, and resulted in Oma winning by choking Cosmo out with his own arm, which was a Nico style, ultimate technique. And that was the end of Cosmo in Kengan Ashura. Now on to the sequel manga, Kengan Mega. Take note that this video was made when chapter 113 was the latest chapter, so later stuff is unknown to me. Ashura to Omega was a 2-year time skip, meaning Cosmo is now 21, having a Kengan match in chapter 1 against someone by the name of Johnny Waters. He was able to take him out with 2 blows only, and Kazi saying the following about him: he used to be a grappling specialist, but his striking drastically improved over the 2 years. Then from there, he was involved in training Koga, but that's really all he's done so far, as he's not participating in the tournament. The reason for this is because the Kengan Association has factions, and Cosmo's Pacific faction already had too many fighters, and he apparently had a Kengan match very close to the start of the tournament, meaning it was more wise to select someone else just in case he got injured. But we do see him from time to time in the crowd during the tournament. Also, considering that a draw happened in the tournament recently, it is possible another round could occur and Cosmo could be chosen to fight for Team Kengan, but that's just a little theory of mine. Now we just need to see what Cosmo is fully capable of now in Kengan Mega. Apart from his striking being improved, he most likely has his foresight developed even more over the 2 years, and probably everything else as well, making Cosmo an absolute monster at this point, being one of the best grapplers in the story, like able to out grapple, a likes of Okubo, another character considered top notch. A top tier striker now, has one of the most hacked abilities in the series, that being zone, and has something stated as the pinnacle of fighting, foresight. Cosmo is just stacked at this point, and let's not forget his potential is insane, so he'll most likely keep on improving. So yeah, that's today's video about Cosmo the Genius. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to share the video around, and as always, shout out to the people who support the channel via the Patreon, absolute mad lads. Consider checking it out if you want various benefits while supporting the channel directly, helping me make more videos like this. But yep, that's it guys, peace.